Wander over yonder, in The Return to Equestria, written by AngelShy24. Let's get this party started. It's been a while, but Wonder, Sylvia and friends, little Big's bids are back. Let the hilarity commence. Today was the big day. It was Princess Luna's birthday, and there was a huge celebration being held in Candlelit in her honor. Twilight and her friends, plus the Crusaders, were taking a train with many others to travel there and take part in the celebration. They were also accompanied by the alien duo, Wander and Sylvia, who earlier showed up in their town thanks to a letter from Apple Bloom. Out of everyone, Wander was obviously the one who was the most excited about the event, mostly because he didn't know what to expect. Sylvia was pretty excited herself, but she kept her excitedness to a minimum. But unknown to them, someone else had snuck onto the train. It was the cute and adorable bounty hunter, Little Bits, who was focused on capturing the alien duo and turning them into Lord Hater for revenge. She wasn't successful so far, but she wasn't giving up that easily. The train finally reached its destination and ponies were boarding off of it. Pretty soon, Twilight and her friends came out along with Wander and Sylvia and the Crusaders. But when the alien duo laid their eyes on the dazzling city before them, they were at a loss for words. "Well, you two," said Twilight, "welcome to the royal city of Candlelit." To them, the city was enormous, much bigger than Ponyville as they expected. The ponies roaming everywhere, and concession booths and tents and many other things as far as the eye could see. And they could also see the Candlelit Palace far off in the distance, and it was a sight to behold itself. Wander couldn't contain his excitement. He couldn't wait to explore this new town and make some new friends. "Check it out," Sylvia Wander shouted in excitement. "This place is even better than I imagined. Music, games, dancing, rides, food, this party has everything." "I'll say," Sylvia agreed, "I've seen festive cities before, but there's something about this place that seems more enchanting." "I guess it's more than enchanting, Sylvia. It's magic." "To tell you the truth, darling," stated Rarity, "Candlelit is usually a bit less filled than this. These streets are always busy with many ponies traveling back and forth, spending their days doing fabulous things that are trending every day, and no one can go into the city without running into a famous celebrity, and not just the princesses themselves. But with a big celebration going on and all, we were expecting quite a turnout like this." The Crusaders were admiring the spectacle around them as well, feeling excited and wondering what they were going to do first. "Just look at it all, girls," shouted Apple Bloom, "entertainment as far as the eye can see. So what do you all want to do first?" "Rainbow Dash promised me that she was going to take me to hang out a bit with the Wonderbolts," said Scooter. "Isn't that right?" "Of course," said Rainbow Dash as she gave the young filly a light neggy. "Why wouldn't I introduce the coolest stunt ponies in the world to the coolest young filly in the world?" "Well, I want to try out the face painting booth that I heard about," said Apple Bloom. "Hey, Fluttershy, aren't you helping and supervising in that booth?" "Why, yes, I am. I'm not exactly a big fan of a lot of the rides here, so I decided to volunteer in helping with it instead." "TH, that's okay, right?" "Of course. Do whatever you think is best for yourself," said Twilight in a polite manner. "Who are we to judge?" After hopping off of Twilight's back, Spike stated, "Well, I'm going to sit down on my butt and enjoy a nice relaxing ride on the Ferris wheel." But then he was given weird looks from the others, wondering if it was all he was going to do. "What? I'm going to do other things too, but the bad boy is getting my full attention. Just make sure that you don't fall asleep on the ride like you did the last time you rode one of those," said Twilight with a smirk. "Wow. Isn't this like the biggest, fantabulous, extraordinary party that you've ever seen?" shouted Pinky in excitement. "I didn't even plan for this party and I'm still very impressed." "It sure is," said Wonder, "but what would make this party even better is if we get to see." Just then, Twilight and her friends and others around them suddenly looked up in front of them, and from a distance, they suddenly saw the royal sisters approaching. The birthday girl. As they ascended, Wonder was so happy to finally see the royal sisters in person, and they were a lot more radiant than he thought. He suddenly bowed down to them and was encouraging Sylvia to do the same. "Come on, Sylvia. We must bow down to the mighty, powerful rulers of Equestria." Luna just held out her hoof and shook her head as she stated, "Please, no need to trouble yourselves. We would admire nothing more than a simple greeting." Wanda then stood back up and said with a smile, "Oh, well then, hello. It's nice to see that you all were able to make it here to help celebrate my sister's birthday," said Celestia to Twilight and her friends. "Yes, we are most pleased," Luna added. "Oh, think nothing of it," said Twilight with a slight bow. "Of course we wouldn't have missed one of the biggest celebrations of the year, no way," shouted Pinky randomly. Celeste then looked down at Wonder and Sylvia and said to them, "And I take it that you two are the alien duo we've heard so much about. Wonder and Sylvia, right?" Wonder squealed with delight as he pulled Sylvia's head down to him and said, "They know our names, Sylvia. The rulers of Equestria knows our names." "Well, of course they do," Sylvia responded. "I'm pretty sure the others told these two about." But then Wanda released her head and then said to the royal sisters, "You hit right on the nose, princesses. My name is Wanda, and this is my best friend, Sylvia. We're both very honored to meet ya." "And we're both very honored to meet you too as well," said Celestia with a smile. "We'd like to personally thank you for helping out to save Ponyville from the evil alien that had showed up so suddenly." "Oh, it was nothing," said Wanda with a blush. "We were just doing what we could to do to help. No biggie." "Yeah, Lord Hater is a real jerk, thinking that he can just plant himself on any planet and boss others around like he's the king of the universe or something," said Sylvia. "Heh, but I bet he didn't count on getting his butt whooped by an awesome group of magical equines." "Huh?" While this conversation was going on, Little Bits, the kittiest assassin that followed them, was watching from under a nearby bench. She was quite amazed herself, seeing the two royal sisters with her own eyes. "So, what I heard was white. There are all other Awakenings on this PW8AT, and those two were PW8TY powerful. Even she knew that she wouldn't stand a chance against ponies like them, and they weren't even the ones that defeated Lord Hater. I guess that I should weigh woe for now. I'd hate to get mixed up in something with those two." The Cubimer Crusaders took a good opportunity to walk up to the princesses as they called out, "Princess Luna! Princess Luna!" "Well, hello there, Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo," said the Princess of the Night as she bent down to their level. "Is there something you three wish to say to us? We know that normally you open gifts later on in the day," said Sweetie Belle, "but do you think that it would okay if you went on ahead and opened ours?" The Crusaders then smiled up at her as they brought out a little white box with a red bow and top in front of Luna. She just lightly chuckled as she brought it up to her with her magic and said, "We suppose that there's no harm to that." After opening the box, she pulled out what seemed to be 3 little bracelets. Each one little trinkets of things that they loved, handcrafted in the best way they could. They were simple, fully made and created from the bottom of their hearts. "Oh my, these are such beautiful little bracelets. Did the 3 of you make these yourselves?" "We sure did," said Apple Bloom. "We remembered when you showed yourself once in our dreams one time and helped us with our problems. Showing me to not be impatient of getting a cutie mark, showing me to not be jealous of my big sister outshining me," said Sweetie Belle. "And showing me that it's okay to admit to anyone when I'm scared of something," said Scootaloo. "And so, we made these bracelets to show you how much we'd thank you all for doing that for us." Then all 3 of them hugged Luna while shouting, "Happy birthday, Princess Luna." Luna remembered very well of when she helped the Crusaders overcome their worst nightmares, and she couldn't help but show a little tear as she placed the bracelets on one of her forearms, and they had such a snug fit. "We couldn't have asked for a better present," Luna said to the Crusaders. "Thank you so much, young Crusaders." "Aw, that's so sweet," said Wanda as he wiped away a few tears. "I think I'm going to cry my eyeballs out helping other ponies with their personal problems by showing up in their dreams." "Huh?" Sylvia questioned. "I guess this is more to the Princess of the Night than just raising the moon." Pretty impressive. But if meeting the royal sisters was great enough, Wanda and Sylvia were about to receive another little surprise as they all heard another voice call out from above. "Well, hail hail, the gang's all here. Mind if I cut in on this little gathering?" It was the Princess of the Crystal Kingdom, Princess Cadence. She came their way once she knew of the arrival of Twilight and her friends. Little Big gasped a bit as she saw Cadence come down while thinking to herself, "But another Awaken. How many of these CWEATURES are there?" "Princess Cadence!" everyone shouted. Sylvia was staring at her hesitantly, saying, "Wait, another Awaken who's a princess? Awesome!" Wanda shouted once again in excitement. "We went from knowing 1 Awaken princess to knowing 3 more. This is so exciting." Twilight went over to Cadence as they gave each other a welcoming hug. "It's nice to see you here, Cadence. I should have known that you would." "Of course. Why on earth would I want to miss celebrating the birthday of one of my aunts?" "The royal sisters are her aunts," said Sylvia. Suddenly, Pinky shot up between Wanda and Sylvia and shouted, "That's right." "Ah!" Sylvia screamed. "Princess Celestia and Princess Luna are her aunts. But get this. Cadence ended up marrying Twilight's brother, Shining Armor, which makes both of them stepsisters. And plus, that means that Celestia and Luna are Twilight's aunts too. Pretty awesome, right? Wow. I'm just learning things about you gals every minute, said Wonder. Sylvia calmed herself down enough to say to the pink pony, yeah, but if you're going to teach us about something, could you maybe be a little less enthusiastic about it? Twilight was happy to see Cadence, but there was someone else she hoping to see as well, so was Shining Armor. He's here too, right? He is, Cadence responded, but he's taking care of things to make sure that the royal guards are properly placed around the town to make sure that nothing unusual happens. But I'm sure he'll be happy once he sees you. It was then that Cadence suddenly noticed the two strange creatures looking at her. She just smirked at them and responded, oh, hello there. I don't think we've met before. You two are the ones who helped save Ponyville from an alien invasion about a year back, aren't you? Not that we're bragging, said Sylvia as she flexed her muscles, but, yeah, we are. So what kind of pony princess are you? Asked Wonder. I'll just bet that it's something special. Cadence giggled a bit at Wonder, as she found him to be adorable. She then answered him, well, I rule over the Crystal Kingdom, and I specialize in the love of others. The Princess of Love, Wonder exclaimed, as a new help restore the love in others' hearts and to them learn to not hate others instead. Pretty much. More or less. Oh, I just knew that you were going to stand for something amazing. Looks like you're my kind of pony. Mrs. Cadence Candace chuckled again as she lightly bowed to him. Well, thank you, Mr. Wonder. I humbly accept your comment. With the day now going by, everyone was looking good forward to have a great time each other. But for Wonder and Sylvia, this was a perfect opportunity to learn more of the pony's customs and to fun at the same time. Well, I don't know about any of you, said Applejack, but I do believe that there's a major party going on here that's missing invites. Meaniness. I couldn't agree more, said Celestia. Feel free to go wherever you wish. There's something here for every pony. Suddenly, as they were all making their way into the city, Apple Bloom looked over at Luna and asked, hey, Luna, I was wondering, did you choose all of the events that are taking place here at your party? With a little smile, Luna responded, we were planning to. But even though it is our special day, we thought it wouldn't be perfect if every pony would enjoy themselves. So we decided to hold different things that we and many different ponies would enjoy. It just seemed better that way. As they were walking off, Sylvia bent downtown to Wonder and whispered to him, hey, Wonder, ever noticed of how that Princess Luna chick seems to be continuously talking in the plural first person about herself? Yeah, notice that too, huh? Yeah, but don't you find it a bit weird? Oh, Sylvia, it's no big deal. Just let it be. I'm sure she has a good reason to do so. Still unknown to them, Little Biggs placed on a little grin as she took out the same weapon that she used on Macintosh and Wenina and placed it on the ground to carefully aim it at the alien duo. Now's my chance. You fellas just left your suitcase wide open. Hey, she began to charge up the weapon so that it would automatically bring her target to her once they were hit. But suddenly, two unicorn stallions got in her way carrying a few window glass panes with their magic. Well, we finally got these replacement glass windows for the funhouse. Little Bits freaked out while trying to stop the weapon. Oh no! Ebbit! But it was already too late. The weapon fired and it was headed right for the floating glass. Luckily for her, the bee bounced off the glass, but unfortunately for her, it was headed back her way. Fish Biscuits too late to react. Little Bits was hit and got trapped in her own plasmic bubble. What do you think that was? Beats me. But check it out, no crack marks, not even a scratch. Wow. These things are definitely durable, like the princess said. Little Bits just lightly growled as she saw her targets once again getting away while she was trapped in her own bubble. Now she had to wait for a little while for the bubble to dissipate before she could pursue them again. Just wait, Wonder, and see what you won't be PWOTECTED for Wong. The fun soon began for Wonder and Sylvia, as well as for everyone else. There was so much to do and they didn't know where to start. Although for Wonder, he spent the first few minutes meeting and greeting ponies that he had never met yet. Sylvia didn't mind though. She knew that he was just doing what he does best. Afterwards, they decided to join Spike on the Ferris wheel. They figured it was a nice ride to start off with. But a few minutes afterwards, Apple Bloom found them and told them that she was going to go watch her big sister run a race around a huge oval track outside of a stadium. A little mischievous smirk came on Sylvia's upon hearing the word race, and then decided that she would have a little fun and participate herself. Once at the track, Wonder was sitting with Apple Bloom on some bleachers with others and were cheering the runners on. Applejack was quite pleased to see Sylvia running against her. She really wanted to test her speed against hers ever since she met her. Soon all of the runners got ready to run, and Applejack looked at Sylvia and wished her luck. "Good luck out there, Syl. I'm sure you'll do great, same to you." Sylvia responded, "This may be just for fun, but you and the other ponies here will need it. You can do it, Sylvia." Yonder shouted from the bleachers, "You are the best darn runner ever." Nearby, Granny Smith was on her rocking chair holding a fake pistol in her mouth and said, "On your marks, get set, go." With a bang of the gun, all of the runners took off with the wind trailing behind them. Soon after the start, Applejack began running ahead of the others, including some that passed her at the start. Sylvia, however, was purposely falling behind. But once she was ready, she started running past everyone, and they all became surprised. "Wow, there goes Applejack as always," said one of the runners. "She's so cool." Then another replied saying, "Doesn't really matter to me. Just being in the same hoop race as Applejack is reward enough." "Yeah, but check out that strange blue creature. She's doing pretty well." To Sylvia was now caught up to Applejack and was running neck and neck with her. "Come on, Applejack," Applebloom loudly cheered. "You got this. Go, Sylvia. Go, Sylvia. Go, Sylvia." Yonder shouted. "Not bad, Sylvia," said Applejack as she was focusing on her path ahead. "I knew that you were fast, but you're keeping up with me pretty well." "Yeah, well, I've done a few of these throughout the galaxy before," said Sylvia with a smirk. "I kinda had road rage back then, but I've gotten better thanks to Yonder. I really appreciate him for that. That's mighty kind of him to do that for ya. There ain't nothing better than a good clean, friendly race." Heh, even Rainbow Dash and Taw had to learn that one time. Suddenly when they were reaching the final stretch, Sylvia said to Applejack, "Oh, by the way, Applejack, I have just one thing to say. Eat my dust." And with that, Sylvia took off like a bullet, literally leaving a trail of dust in the other's path. Holy horse apples. The whole crowd were quite surprised, including Applejack, who had no idea that a creature like her could run so fast. And Applebloom's jaw dropped to the ground. "Yeah," shouted Yonder as he jumped up in the seat, "there she goes to the finish line." But unfortunately, Little Biggs was watching nearby, and she was wearing a mischievous look on her face as Sylvia was getting closer and closer to the goal. "Heh, I knew that dumb ZBOWNAK would win this race. Unfortunately found her, I PWANTED a whittle syrup found her at the finish line when no one was working. Once she's caught, Yonder will be easy pickings." Little Biggs planned that once Sylvia got caught in the trap, she would use her linked wireless controller in her paws to transport Sylvia to her location so no one would know where she was. Sylvia was now but a mere several feet to the finish line as she shouted, "And the winner is," but then, she accidentally tripped over a small rock in her path that caused her to trip and literally flew over the finish line, and Little Big's trap. After landing on her face, Sylvia quickly rose back up and proudly posed like nothing happened and finished her statement. "Me? What?" Little Big shouted. "How is that possible?" "Yeah, you go, Syl," cheered Yonder while waving his hands in the air. "That's my girl." "That was amazing," said Applebloom in amazement. "I had no idea that she was so fast." Applejack was the next one to cross the finish line, but for some weird reason, she missed the trap as well. Little Biggs felt so confused. "With the good race," said Applejack as she was catching her breath. "Looks like I underestimated you." The rest of the runners soon got to the finish line themselves. But when they crossed it, Little Big's trap activated and trapped them in a huge containment bubble, and none of them could get out. "You've got to be kidding me," Little Biggs groaned as she fist-bumped herself. Everyone jumped up and was wondering what had happened and if something could be done to free the other runners. "Looks like some of them racers have ran into some contract atomic bubble or something," said Granny Smith as she was trying to make out the situation. "Is some pony pulling a prank?" Then realizing that her plan failed again, Little Biggs pressed a button on her control that caused the bubble to disperse, freeing the other runners trapped inside. "Oh, guess it doesn't matter anyway," the bubble had done popped. "But that sure was a great race, wasn't it?" "Do you have any ideas of what that was?" said Applejack to Sylvia. Sylvia was scratching her head in confusion as she answered, "No clue. Although I can't help but think that I've seen something like that before somewhere." "Heh, good thing I tripped though, or else I would have been trapped in that thing." Applebloom was in the bleachers feeling confused of what happened herself. "I wonder what that was all about. Was that some kind of prank that the princesses decided to do?" I don't know, said Wonder, but it definitely was a surprise. I did not see that coming. Little Biggs then hid her eyes set on Wonder as she was aiming a dart shooter at him while Apple Bloom wasn't looking. Guess I'll just have to settle with you first, Wonder, but as she took the shot, Wonder looked down under him and said, "Oh look, a bit." He then bent down to pick it up, causing the dart to fly by right above and struck a nearby bird instead that froze and fell onto the ground. Wonder then sat back up holding the big happily in his stating, "Finders keepers." Little Bit slowly growled again as she snapped her little shooter in half frustration. She just could catch a break. Face painting was one of the party's activities that Apple Bloom was dying to take part of, just not literally. At some point, she went to the building where fussy painting was taking place, along with her other two Crusader friends. Wonder and Sylvia decided to go along for the ride as well to take part in getting their faces painted. After a while, the process was complete and Apple Bloom and her friends could show off their temporary look. The three Crusaders walked out of the building together, admiring each other of their looks. "How do I look, girls?" said Sweetie Belle. "I'm a kitty cat." "You wouldn't happen to be posing as Snowball, would you?" said Apple Bloom while looking at her friend suspiciously. Sweetie sheepishly grinned as she brushed against the painted whiskers on her cheek and said, "Maybe, but I couldn't resist. She was on my mind while you two to share the same color like you do with Opal." Apple Bloom chuckled, "So you definitely pulled it off. But check me out, I'm a dog. However, I'm not just any dog, I'm Winona. See, notice the little white spots on my face and the brown color and over." For Apple Bloom's friends looked closer and noticed what she meant. And Sweetie said in astonishment, "Oh yeah, I knew I recognized the coloring from somewhere." "Nice. What do you girls think of this?" said Scootaloo as she posed with her wings out. "Betcha can't guess what I'm supposed to be." Although, it didn't take long for Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle to guess as they both said, "A phoenix." "Ah man, and on the first try too. How did you two guess so easily?" "We studied about phoenixes in class a couple of weeks ago, remember?" said Apple Bloom. "The colors were a dead giveaway." "Oh yeah, forgot about that," said Scootaloo sheepishly. "So, was Wonder and Sylvia?" "They didn't come out yet." Suddenly from behind them in a flash, Wonder came up from behind them and shouted, "Surprise!" "Ah!" All three Crusaders yelled in shock to suddenly see Wonder's face look like a clown, complete with a honky nose. "Check it out, girls," Wonder exclaimed. "I'm a clown. I'm wacky, kooky, crazy, and have a huge love of making others happy." "Aren't you all like that already, Wonder?" stated Apple Bloom. Well, I suppose you're right. But you three like it, right?" "Fluttershy did this one just for me. It kinda made me jump a little seeing that you just jumped at us out of nowhere," said Sweetie Belle. "But you're right. It looks really great." "Why, thank you all so much on the compliment," said Wonder. But suddenly, he gasped as he looked at the building's doorway and started to say, "Oh no, I think something is coming. It's huge, it's scary, and it's hungry. It's Sylvia the Terrible." Sylvia then came jumping out from the building in front of the Crusaders with her face and hands painted green, wearing fake teeth and claws. She roared with ferocity as she waved her fake claws at the young fillies, but unfortunately for her, they just stood there smirking at her. "Seriously, nothing?" Sylvia questioned. "I thought I did pretty good on that entrance." "Sorry, Sylvia," said Scootaloo, "but we've seen things way more scarier than what you were trying to do." Sylvia blushed while scratching her head as she said, "Well, I guess I can't blame you three for that." Once again unknown to them, Little Biggs found them and was watching them from afar, grimly glaring and twitching her ear in frustration. I finally caught up to them, trying to tag walk them through this CWOWD was torture. "Those two are not going to get away again. Those ponies in there really know how to fussy paint," said Wonder to the Crusaders. "And Fluttershy isn't too bad either." "Yeah, they sure are," said Apple Bloom, "but the downside to it is that the paint won't last forever, which is why I had my picture taken." "Me too," said Sweetie Belle. "Same here," said Scootaloo. All three of them held up an individual photo of themselves posing in their fussy paint makeup. Wonder and Sylvia both thought they looked adorable. "Aw, don't you three look adorable?" Wonder squealed. Sylvia and I took a photo together. It's going to be one heck of a souvenir. Although, we're still waiting for it to be developed, but it shouldn't be long now. "Hey, I saw a vendor down there selling deep-fried snap cakes," Apple Bloom stated to the others. "Who wants to join me?" Sylvia grinned as she licked her lips and rubbed her hands as she answered, "Sister, anything that has deep-fried in the name is an adventure for my stomach. Count me in." As they began to walk off towards the vendor, Sylvia looked back at Wonder, who was still standing in front of the building. "Hey, Wonder, you coming, buddy? I'll join with you in a moment, Syl. But first I'm going to wait for our wonderful friendship photo." "Suit yourself," said Sylvia. She shrugged her shoulders. "But don't make us wait too long." Suddenly, another big grin came on Little Bit's face as she saw the others go off, leaving Wonder all alone. "Are you kidding me? You just made the shot way too easy." She then took out a dart gun and aimed at Wonder, making sure that no one was near him. "I'll get you, and then your ZBOWNAKFWIND is next." Little Bits then took the shot, guaranteed to hit its target. But suddenly, Wonder happened to look down once again and saw, oh look, another bit. He suddenly bent down to pick it up, and the shot dart missed him yet again. He stood up holding the coin in hand and said, "Today must be my lucky day." "Oh no," said Little Bit softly to herself as she saw the dart continue on. It ricocheted off a metal board and kept bouncing off of other things. It even came close to hitting Wonder again a couple of times. But in the end, it ended up coming back her way. But another pony happened to step in front of her and got hit instead. He froze up and then fell unconscious. Of all the stupid, wussy, good-for-nothing wood. Little Bits grumbled as she was digging in her bag. "I need to find another dart quick." But she then saw another pony come out from the building that Wonder was waiting in front of, giving him what he wanted. "Here, your photo, young fella." "Thank you," said Wonder as he gazed at the photos. "Ooh, that sure is a keeper." He then quickly went off in the direction that his friends went, shouting, "Hey, Sylvia, I'm coming." Once Little Bits found another dart to shoot, Wanda was already out of her sight. Plus, the pony that came out of the building saw the other pony that was unconscious and came over to him in worry. "Whoa. What the, sir, are you alright? You don't look so hot." Little Bits quickly hid away, upset once again that her capture plan failed, planning her next move, whatever it was. "That hater jerk better pay me medal for all this." At some point during the celebration upon a giant stage in front of a large crowd, pop star and singing sensation, Sapphire Shores was putting on a little concert for entertainment. But now at the moment, she was holding a non-competitive dance-off with different fans of her. Although, most of them were afraid to be easily showed up by. After facing off a few selected ponies in the crowd, she felt so invigorated and was hardly breaking a sweat. "Thank you again, Every Pony. It'd been quite fun doing a little dance-off challenge with some of you before getting my next big performance." This idea of course came from the birthday princess herself. Told me it'd be great to give off some stress. She was totally right. Let's give it up for the princess of the night. While everyone began cheering upon Luna's behalf, Sapphire Shores was getting ready for one more volunteer to try their best against her. "Now then, before we get this party back in session, I think we have time for one more little dance-off. So, who wants to challenge the dazzling and fabulous Sapphire Shores?" Suddenly amongst the vast audience members, a single voice shouted out, "I will." Just then, Sapphire and everyone else suddenly turned around, and a path was parted to reveal a small, brown creature waving his hand repeatedly to Sapphire. She just chuckled as she waved her hoof and said, "Well, okay then. Why don't you bring yourself up here? Don't mind if I do." The energetic creature named Wonder quickly left from the side of his friend, Sylvia, and Rarity, who was also there, and was headed towards the stage while everyone was cheering him on. "Oh my goodness, what is he doing?" said Rarity to Sylvia. "Is that little guy actually going to try to challenge the Sapphire Shores to a dance-off? What is he thinking? He is so going to be defeated." "I wouldn't be so sure of this," said Sylvia with a smirk. "What are you talking about? Dancing is what she does. She's a dance choreographer. Dancing is like a warm-up exercise to her. Did you see the others that challenged her? They were literally sweating while she was barely breaking a sweat, and she still is." But of course, knowing Wonder, Sylvia wasn't nervous for her at all. "Oh yeah, I saw them and I saw her, but they haven't met Wonder. Let's just say that he came across with a somewhat similar experience like this before, and, well, trust me. Just watch." Once Wanda got to the stage, Sapphire Shores was looking down at him, feeling intrigued. "Well, look at you. Aren't you a cute little thing? And the name is Wonder, Miss Sapphire Shores," said Wanda with a bow, "and I'll challenge you to your little dance-off. Just ignore the clown makeup, okay?" Sapphire Shores had heard of him and Sylvia and what they did for Ponyville. But she was about to learn the hard way of just how enduring it was to keep up with a young alien. "Very well then, I accept your challenge, honey. This should be fun." Sapphire started things off, showing Wonder a simple dance move that almost anyone could do. She didn't want to show off to him just yet. Just a little simple dance routine to start this off. Don't want to be too complicated for you right off the bat. That was pretty cool, Miss Shores, said Wonder, but check this out. Wonder did the same dance step Sapphire did, but he added a little of his own thing to it, and Sapphire found it to be a little impressive. Not bad, not bad. Guess it's my turn again. Everyone was on edge as they watched Sapphire Shores continue her dance routine, which was as fantastic as she was. However, it didn't make Wonder waver at all. Once it was his turn again, he began to let loose and do his own thing. Most ponies were a bit surprised at how quick he retaliated. Even Sapphire Shores was a bit impressed. Some of Wonder's moves proved to be a bit unorthodox for her to do. When Wonder finished his part, he smiled with enjoyment as he asked Sapphire, "Can you still keep on going, Miss Shores?" "Are you kidding, honey?" said Sapphire as she struck a pose. "I'm just getting started." DJ, drop the beat. Now it was really going down as Sapphire and Wonder kept repeatedly taking turns strutting their stuff in front of everyone. Sapphire didn't want to say it just yet, but as this went on, she realized that Wonder was not like the others that challenged her before. But as the party went on, Little Biggs was preparing for another capture attempt atop the roof of a tall building from a short distance. She was now using a one-use-only, last resort weapon that she had, a smoke bomb launcher that would guarantee her success. "This time, I'm going to use this. Anyone within 10 needs FWOM. Wonder will be knocked out, including the dumb ZBOWNAK. That way, I can snatch up her and Wonder at the same time without much STWUGGLE." Little Bits pointed the weapon at Wonder as she saw him continue to dance to his heart's content with Sapphire. She chuckled as she had her paw on the trigger of her weapon ready to fire. "That's right. Dance away, you little fool. You're about to go into a deep sweep." Back at the stage, Wonder was still going strong and wasn't showing any signs of slowing down. Sapphire Shores on the other hand was actually beginning to sweat a bit, not from dancing as a whole, but from trying to keep up with her challenger. "This guy is really good," Sapphire thought to herself. "Some of his moves I can't even do. He truly is talented. How is this even possible?" Rarity exclaimed, "That little guy is tiring Sapphire Shores out." "That's Wonder for you," Sylvia chuckled. "There ain't anybody in Galaxy that can outdance him." Unbelievable. At the right moment, Little Biggs fired her weapon as the smoke bomb was headed right towards Wonder. Somehow through all of the excitement, no one noticed the approaching projectile. However, as it almost reached a target, Wonder did a finishing move in which he jumped and twirled up in the air. He then ended it with a split kick and then landed back on the ground. But it was that initial strong kick that somehow knocked the bomb back in the opposite direction. Little Biggs freaked out as she tried to duck. But luckily for her, the bomb went way past over her head and into an area nearby behind her. She saw as it impacted and activated spreading sleeping gas all around it, causing anyone in its vicinity to instantly fall asleep. Back at the stage, everyone was cheering for Wonder, giving him full applause of his achievement. After wiping her forehead and sipping some water, Sapphire Shores went over to Wonder and congratulated him while sounding a bit out of breath. "Well, Wonder, I have to admit, you have me beat. I've never met a more fabulous dancer than myself. Well, maybe one or two, but none of them could go toe-to-toe with you." "It's no big deal, Miss Shores," said Wonder cheerfully as he stood to his feet. "I was just doing one of the 10s I do best. But you weren't so bad yourself. Well done." "Honey, I haven't heard a night pony tell me that since my junior years in dance school, and that's saying quite a lot." Sapphire then gave a bow as she told the crowd, "Give this young fella a round of applause, ever right pony." He was fabulous. As the crowd roared with happiness, Little Biggs threw her now used-up weapon down on the ground behind her and suddenly shouted in anger, "Ugh, it's White. The universe is messing with me. Stop messing with me, dumb universe." Some of the crowd happened to hear that and was looking around to see where it came from, but they didn't think to look up on the rooftops. "What was that?" said Sylvia to Rarity. "I don't know," Rarity responded, "but it sounded like some pony might be getting karma that they deserve." "Heh, yeah. Karma can be a real beast, doesn't it?" Wonder and Sylvia were having a wonderful time at the giant birthday celebration of Princess Luna. Riding rides, trying out the foods, participating in activities. There was so much stuff to do, they didn't know if they would be able to do it all. Meanwhile, Little Biggs kept tracking their every move, looking for the right moment to try and capture them, but so far she has failed to do so. However, she wasn't going to give up yet. This was one bounty hunter that was going to keep going until she succeeded. This party is awesome. Wonder shouted as he and Sylvia was walking down a set path through the city. I know that I said it before, but this time I mean it 100 times more. You said it, Sylvia agreed. These ponies really know how to throw a royal birthday celebration, but the question remains, Wonder questioned, is the birthday girl having fun? Suddenly nearby, Wonder and Sylvia saw a roller coaster go by and Luna was right at the front shouting and screaming with everyone else that was on it. Ha ha. Is that all you got, coaster? We command I'll go faster, faster. I'd say that she is. They both then suddenly came to a stop as Sylvia told Wonder, well, there's still plenty of day left, and there are things we still haven't done or seen. So what do you want to do next, buddy? I'm almost thinking of seeing if I can join that little dragon on a nice relaxing carousel ride. Wonder then gave her a little sly smirk as said, well, I think I'll have a certain idea in mind. Wonder then pointed ahead of them as Sylvia saw the candlelit castle. She knew what Wonder was up to as she was being a bit cautious. Gee, I don't know. I'm sure it's no big deal, but, are you sure about this? Feeling a bit exasperated, Little Big set her sights on the alien duo again. Since there wasn't much of a crowd around them at the time, she was planning to rush in and quickly snatch them up before anyone noticed. Certain ponies are starting to get suspicious of my activity around here. I have to capture those two right now, but just as she was about to make her move, someone called out to them, hey, Wonder and Sylvia. Oh, for CWYI out loud. Little Big groaned loudly as she saw Twilight Sparkle headed towards them. She then quickly hid so no one would see her. Hey, Miss Sparkle, shouted Wonder. Sup, Princess of Friendship, Sylvia responded. You two enjoying yourselves? I know I definitely am, sure are, said Wonder. The rides, musical atmosphere, the games, and all the publicity. Suddenly, Sylvia burst out from satisfaction as she patted her stomach. Ah. And don't forget all the food. This party has everything. And we still have plenty of things that we can do. So what are you two doing next? Twilight questioned. Sylvia kinda hesitated as she told her, well, Wonder said that he wanted to explore the inside of the palace. But I wasn't quite sure if it was okay. Twilight knew of how curious Wonder could be, and she thought that it could be a good experience for him. So she answered, of course it's okay. You two can explore in there all you want. Most of the guards are out here keeping watch on the grounds like Celestia said, but she has nothing to hide. And Woodis can probably only be accessed by magic anyway. So knock yourselves out. I'm sure Celestia won't mind. Little Bits overheard that comment and began to listen more closely. This sounds PWOMISING really. You mean it? Shouted Wonder with much excitement. Alright. Very well, said Sylvia. Exploring Candlelit Palace it is. Then seeing how excited Wonder was, Twilight pointed out, but just make sure that you don't touch every single thing you see. You're seriously asking someone like Wonder to not touch every single thing he sees? Sylvia chuckled. Castle. Castle. Pretty castle. Pretty shiny castle, but as always, I'll be there, said Sylvia, so no worries, I'll. They both began to make their way to castle as Wonder shouted, see you all later, Miss Sparkle, then took a bow, Your Highness. Those two, said Twilight to herself while smiling, they really are the most unique pair of friends. Seeing Wonder and Sylvia finally parting away from Twilight, Little Bits chuckled knowing that this was the moment that she was waiting for all this time. So, they're going in there, where there aren't any guards or anyone else for that matter. Now we're talking. But I swear if something or someone gets in my way again, I'll use them as a SCWATCHING post giggle. Thank you for observing this visual transmission. If this media file successfully stimulated your reward circuits, please execute the like action, deposit a textual comment below, and transmit this data stream to